Even if this inhabitant of Africa is not as well known among people as the elephant and giraffe, lion and rhinoceros, hippopotamus and zebra. Let it be considerably inferior to its neighbors, antelopes and gazelles. Even if its name is painfully inelegant. Nevertheless, it occupies an important place at home, in Savannah. It compensates its unsightliness with firmness and zest for life. And in fact, behind the image of a formidable anarchist hides a timid romantic, most of all dreaming of a hearty dinner and a warm mud bath after a meal. It is also the most atypical of all pigs on our planet today. In the appearance of the warthog, nature has surprisingly mixed ugliness and charm. To say that it is peculiar is to say nothing. The legs are tall, the tail is a brush on a long thin string, the body is disproportionately small, almost naked, and shale or clay-colored, and the head is huge, stretched in length and width snout, on the sides of which protrude wart-like growths and sickle-shaped fangs. A disheveled black mane with eye-popping bangs and sparse white sideburns complete the portrait of the monster. It was not for nothing that such a monster was filmed in the prologue of a good old film, a million years BC. Not to be confused with the latest French gibberish. At the same time, there's a kind of strange appeal to his appearance. Perhaps due to the amazing neck. When alarmed or frightened, the heavy head rises high up and the neck enables him to turn it 40 to 50 degrees sideways even while running, which other pigs are unable to do. In comparison to most hoofed neighbors, the bearded vulture is small, averaging 75 centimeters at withers, but it may not be called small while weighing 50 to 150 kilograms. Its body length is up to 1.5 m and tail length is up to 50 centimeters. Wild boars are noticeably larger than pigs, but their tails are shorter. But their tusks are longer. In older males, they grow to 60 cm and curve to 3/4 of the circumference. Another sexual difference is the warts, the skin outgrowths that have given the animal its name in all languages. Males have 4 of them, 2 on each side of the muzzle, with the upper one stretching out to 15 centimeters in height. Females have only 2 and are not large. Neither kernel nor bone base of warts have, and we can only guess, what their purpose is. Perhaps, they serve as shock absorbers in ritual fights, but this is only one of the hypotheses. Warthogs are the children of Africa. They can be found almost everywhere below the Sahara, excluding the equatorial forest zone and the extreme south of the continent. They are characteristic inhabitants of savannas and sparse forests, but they are able to adapt successfully, penetrating from moderately humid zones to more arid ones and climbing up to 3,000 meters above sea level. Each population is divided into clans of several family groups and roaming solitary individuals. Most families consist of 4 to 10 individuals, usually 2 to 3 female relatives with offspring, although groups of up to 40 animals have been observed. Young males form their close-knit groups, while adult boars live alone or in small bachelor groups, joining the pigs only for a short time to mate. During this period, the cavaliers compete in ritual fights. There are usually no serious wounds, though a fighter in a heat sometimes makes a deep wound with his lower tusk, sharp enough to tear through even the rough skin of a warthog. Grizzly pigs are sociable creatures. Their eyesight is poor, but their sense of smell and hearing are excellent. Grunting, snorting, and squealing, warthogs express greeting, threatening, alarming, submitting or courting. During the rut, the boar chases the pig with a sound similar to the pounding of an engine. An excited, angry or frightened, bearded pig whips up its mane and flicks its upper fangs menacingly against the lower ones. On the run, the warthog tucks its tail high with the brush as if it were a flag on a thin pole. This is a signal to his kin, attention. By the way, these animals run at a speed of 47 to 55 kilometers per hour. In contrast to other pigs, warthogs are active not at night, but during the day. At twilight they hide underground, in burrows or clefts in rocks. There they flee from enemies and the cold of the night, to which they are too sensitive due to their sparse hair and thin layer of subcutaneous fat. Often warthogs use burrows of tube tutors, modernizing them to their own taste, but on occasion they may dig them themselves. their spade-like snout is an excellent tool. They crawl into the burrows, hiding their vulnerable backsides and exposing their muzzle with gruesome fangs to the potential enemy. In the morning, they shoot out of their holes to forestall the predator, who might be waiting for them at the exit. Sometimes birds such as black ants move into their dens above the entrance to the warthog dwelling. This is a favorable neighborhood. The animals attract many insects, which provide food for birds, and they, in their turn, sound the alarm in case of danger, and pigs judge by the bird's voice whether it is better to go out or wait it out. In general, the fierce appearance of the warthog is a complete fiction. In reality, he's a nervous beast, flinching at the slightest rustle, and getting a heart attack from a surprise is no big deal to him. In any case, he'd rather run than fight. However, once in a desperate situation, they will fight fiercely even with a lion, trying to sell their lives as expensive as possible. In nutrition, warthogs also differ from ordinary pigs. The basis of the diet is grass, for shearing of which the incisors are adapted. In addition, while eating, warthogs kneel, wrist joints, and thus crawl from place to place. In principle, the length of their neck allows them to graze even standing on straight legs, but it is more convenient this way. As a result of such unusual movements, thick horny calluses form on their wrists. However, the warthogs have not given up their omnivorous nature. Besides grass, warthogs eat fallen fruits, and when grass dries up, they dig out bulbs, tubers and rhizomes with their powerful, muscular knuckles from under the ground. In drought they do not disdain carrion, including the remains of their fellows and even their own cubs. On the outskirts of large cities, families of warthogs thrive. They live and feed year-round in the company of baboons, marabou and vultures at dumps. Around the equator, warthogs breed year-round, but in places with pronounced seasonality, their mating season falls at the end of the dry season. Pregnancy lasts on average 170 to 175 days and their litters usually contain 2 to 3, more rarely 1 to 7, grayish-pink stripless piglets. Females of the family group give birth simultaneously, but in different burrows, and after a week, when the babies are stronger, they gather again in a communal apartment. The piglets are very sensitive to both heat and cold, and do not leave the den in the first days after birth, where the temperature remains at about 30 degrees centigrade with 90% humidity all day long. The female warthog, again, unlike other pigs, does not put bedding into the nest and leaves her piglets in the den alone for the whole day. Only when she returns in the evening does she let them eat. Children suckle their mother for 4 months and live with her in the same den for about a year, usually until the birth of a new generation, but daughters, if the room allows, can stay with their parent for longer and help her raise the younger ones. Although warthogs become sexually mature at 18 to 20 months, males usually remain bachelor until they are 4 years old. Life expectancy of these pigs is 10 to 18, sometimes up to 20 years. The main enemies of adult animals are man, lion and leopard, but babies can fall prey even to such small predators as jackals. Interestingly, jackal cubs stop feeding their cubs with milk just by the time the new generation of warthogs is born, and to nurse their young, a pair of jackals has to demonstrate wonders of hunting skills, snatching up to 4 piglets a day from under the fangs of furious pigs. Where warthog habitats overlap with agricultural areas, the beasts do a lot of damage to crops. In addition, warthogs are susceptible to diseases that can be transmitted to domestic pigs. However, humans more often pursue them not for these reasons, but for tasty meat and spectacular fangs, a sport trophy. As a result, for example, in South Africa these animals have been heavily beaten. Now a number of countries regulate the hunting of warthogs by law. In general, the situation with the species is quite favorable, and neither the Red Book of the International Union for Conservation of Nature, nor the lists of the International Convention on Trade in Endangered Species, CITES, have not yet included our vivacious hero.